A few years ago, I lost everything: my marriage, my job, my home, my income, but worst of all, my identity. I have been a serial entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. As a child, I always worked in the family business. And from there on, I was always building businesses. Someone, not someone, my mom actually looked at me and said, fast forward, my mom's sitting down with me talking, and she looks at me and she says, "Have you considered getting a real job? Maybe work at a grocery store." And I sat there. I was already paralyzed, but I sat there paralyzed a little bit more if you can. No answer. I have no answer. Had no answer. I had no plan B. I had nothing to fall back on. What I didn't know then, and what I know now, is that everything I had just been through was my answer. That was my product. So stay with me here. Before we get into the how, this is about the belief that's keeping you broke. And broke, not necessarily with your bank account, but there's a broke or a broken in you that's been through so much mess, that you've endured so much. Like if you're here and you have that loss of identity, you're broke in a way. So what we're working on today is we need to name the thing that stops you before you even start. We need to name the thing that stops you when you start and stop and start and stop, when you pause, when you're not quitting. We need to name that. And for everyone, it's different for everyone. So there's this belief, and I've been stuck in this belief system, if you will, because you get inundated by other people's opinions. You got to, I mean, if you're going through such a mess of life, right? You're surrounded by people of your current inner circle that is going to tell you what you need. They're going to give their opinions, and they're going to give their advice, and this is where belief keeps you broke. It keeps you stuck. And I'm sure that inside of yourself, you're thinking, I need a certification. I need a certain level of a degree from a school. I need, those letters that follow a name, as if you were a physician or a lawyer or even an MBA, right? I need a big following on the socials, or even a belief that you need someone's permission to start. You need someone's permission it's permission, it's encouragement. I kept finding myself like, I just need somebody to encourage me, someone to say, yes, this is the right way to go, messy missy, go this way, before you can really charge for your knowledge, before you can turn this idea or this business concept or your skill set into monetization. So this is really deep. So first, you need to realize the truth about it all. Yes, credentials give you confidence, right? Yes, I'm a JD, so I can practice law, and this is what I can do, right? So your credentials do give you the confidence. However, experience gives you credibility. So what are you really selling when you create something to monetize it, right? And that's what we're talking about today. Your experience is the product. How are we going to sell it? And selling it, how are we going to make it make money? Your experience is there. Think about it. What does your audience care about your diploma? Is anybody going to get on your website or a chat bot that you've built out that's, helping you to put people in a funnel to monetize what you're selling? Is anybody customer going to say, whoa, wait, was the founder's college degree a BS or a BA? No, they care about whether you understand their problem. So you are solving a problem for somebody else. The woman who needs you right now, the customer who needs your product or your service right now, is not looking for the most qualified person in the room. She's looking for someone who has been where she is and found her way through. She's looking for somebody who has a solution to a problem. That's it. You don't need more credentials. You need to recognize what you already have. That's the belief that is keeping you broke. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your own passions. When you get through this believability theory, which is true 100%, you go 100% in on your belief system. Let that sink in. Your experience, no matter what we're going to package up and put it together and build a business and make it make money for you, for your life, to fulfill your passions, in a way, it creates a whole new identity for you, a whole new circle of people in your life, a whole new platform, a whole new level of confidence. You have to remember that we're falling back on our experience first. Your experience is giving you the credibility. How are we going to turn our experiences into an offer, into something sellable, into something that makes us money? Here we go. How messy, Missy, am I going to turn my experience into something that makes me money? How? So we're doing 3 steps here. The first one is identify. The second one is find. And the third one is package. That's what we're working on. So we have a 3-step framework within this live that I am teaching you today, sort of teaching you. How are we going to identify your lived experience? Because you're in chaos, you're in a complete mess, maybe you're in a world of hurt. Everything feels messy. So first off, ask yourself, and this is what I wish I had faster or sooner. through my last mess of life, right? But this is my lived experience so that I can help you. See how it's all coming together? So ask yourself this: what have I figured out the hard way that someone else is desperately trying to figure out right now? There are so many examples of this. You could create a business out of nothing. What do you mean by that? We're going to turn something from nothing. We're going to turn you into a system of making money from an experience that you have already lived. From somebody else is out there struggling right now on a piece of something you've already lived through. So again, ask yourself, what have I figured out the hard way that somebody else is desperately trying to figure out right now? You're going to have to kind of go, you have to go back. You have to take yourself through that journey of, I don't want to feel those feelings that I already lived through. I don't want to feel the hard. But you have to do that to get that answer, to get the answer to that question. And I'm not just talking about your professional skills. And I will tell you, this is really where I really struggled, because I lost four companies that I had built and I had a partner with, and I was partnered in business with. So when I was going through the hard, I didn't want to go back and build that type of business again. Can I do it? Absolutely. I've done it repeatedly. It's systematic. But I didn't want to do that. So think about not just your professional skills, but think about your life skills. Okay. What does that mean? Well, rebuilding after divorce, navigating financial loss, starting over in midlife, raising kids alone, managing anxiety while building a business, right? So those are all my lived experiences. Those are just examples. Life skills, lived experiences. In there are also professional skills. So we're going to figure out and we're going to work through all of that together. I went through a divorce. I went through a major job loss. And in that is like company loss. I lost my home, and not like lost it. Because I think I struggle with like lost. Well, if things are lost, the flip side is go find them. But my home was taken from me. I was evicted. And that part is still, that's not what we're focusing on. I have been through financial devastation. Ruined. So I built tools, and I'm just using me as an example right now because that's what I have to go off of. I built tools to survive it, but more so I built the tools to rebuild through it. That's the good stuff. And then that became my framework. That became what I'm selling. Also, but what I'm helping. Right? That became my offer. So you have a version of this that you've lived, a lived experience. Now, we don't have to go and build something that's super personal to you. I was reflecting on this last night, actually, honestly. I was totally reflecting on this last night because I went through kind of what have I built businesses that I've monetized in the past, and they're very different than what I've just built for today. So I want you to write down 3 things that you know deeply because you lived them. And maybe you want to create a personal brand, and maybe you want to help people through that personal lived experience, right? Or maybe you want to build something that's totally different, refreshing, that you can take from a hobby and make money from. That's just a passion of yours. So you could go either way. There are different routes to this, and I encourage that. I want you to know what makes you feel alive. For me, like I said, I've built businesses that have helped people, but were more tangible, that weren't built on a personal brand. For example, I created and worked with a lab to create a product that turned into a nasal spray to kill viruses. Okay. And then we monetized it. So we created a nasal spray, we bottled it, we made the label, we did the marketing, we sold it, we made money. I mean, that's a business, an idea, something I lived, something I truly believed in because I don't like to get sick. Who does? I don't like germs, but probably a little more drastic than the normal person. So write down 3 things that you know deeply, that you have an experience with, that you've lived through. And then that's your starting point. So that was step 1. I probably spent a little bit more time on step 1 than I should have. But I think we need time together. That's the important part. So number 2, step 2 is to find. Seek it. Okay, seek who? Seek what are we doing, messy? We're going to find the person who needs it. Your buyer you're not selling one thing to everyone. Your buyer's not everyone. Who is your buyer? We have to find a person who needs what you're selling. Most of the time, your buyer is the woman who is 6 to 12 months behind where you are right now. What does that mean? I always think of it as like, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to grab a hand with the woman who is that 6 to 12 months version of myself where I used to be, and I'm going to pull her forward. That's how I think of it. This person, your buyer, is potentially in the mess that you already survived. We're building something to make money. Okay. So this buyer of yours, and you're going to have some light bulbs, you're going to have some aha moments. So really sit with this. The woman is asking the questions that you've already answered. So the most powerful thing you can do is sit in your expertise. You have to own that. And confidence is key here. And your mess may have killed your confidence. I totally get it. You're going to get there. You're going to have more confidence. This is the starting point. So believe, again, we're going back to the believability, the law of believability. Believe that you are an expert. Your messes don't define you. What you've lost doesn't define you. You truly are an expert because of the mess you've been through. You're an expert because of the hell you lived through. You're an expert because you know this inside out, and you know how it works and it functions, and you know how it's successful. And this is why that woman that you reached down and you grabbed her hand and you pulled her forward with you, that's why she needs you. It's the "I've been exactly where you are" sentence that converts. And by converting, I mean you're finding the person who needs your expertise and you're converting her into a customer. And I know sales is gotten this like yuckiness around it. Like that, ambulance chaser, those personal injury attorneys that are on the commercials that, I got $500,000 from my rack, or the car salesman that makes you feel that yuck, right? That sales got a bad rap way back when. We're not bringing that with us now. Sales is the most thrilling, exciting thing ever. It's where you make the money, honey. Okay, so get specific with the person who needs it. This I'm walking you through this, and there's a lot to it. Who is she? Who is this woman? You sit down. Who is your old 6 to 12 month self? And define her. Write her down on a piece of paper. How old is she? Who is she? What happened to her? What was that life experience that she lived through? Here's the key question that you need to define. What does she want that she doesn't have yet? For you, from me to you, for example, of how I'm building the Messy Missy framework, you want to have a business that brings you revenue. You want to have financial freedom, a full bank account, overflowing bank account. What? You want an income statement that you take to your tax return specialist, and you want an income statement where he or she says, you got to go buy this luxury vehicle right now because it's a write-off. You want to get up every morning with a pep in your step because you have people to serve. This is me to you. That's what you want. That's why we're on here. That's what we're building. Nobody wants to stay stuck in their messes. Nobody wants to start and restop for 2 years straight, wondering like, I know I'm called to do this. I know I'm called to serve other women, but how? And just like throwing spaghetti up against the wall to see if it sticks. Okay. I went on a tangent. And your third step of this framework for today is, how do you package that up? How do you package it? What does package mean? Well, it's more about the thing you're selling to start your revenue engine. The package is like the key you put in to start the ignition, to start the engine. Because once you have a sales engine, you're off to the races. So here's what you don't start with. And this is kind of where I was very confused. I had to figure this part out. So guys, I am giving you these, I hate to say this, I don't like the golden nuggets. I don't like that term, but that's what came to mind because we all want a gold rush into our bank accounts, do we not? Right? And then it's like the how. Well, we have to identify the person. We have to find that person. And then we have to package it up by basically having a thing to sell. And I did this. I was going to sell a course. I was going to sell a membership. I was going to sell a 12-week program. Like literally, this is what I did. I went through all these things. This is what you do not do. How many times have you sat in a coffee talk with somebody, real and raw, and they said, okay, this is what you're not going to do? I hired a coach a couple of years ago, and I had built out my business plan, and I was so excited. I was launching my new year, my new me, new year with 5 businesses. I'm not kidding you. I did this. I said, okay, here's my spreadsheet, and here's the businesses that I'm going to launch this year. No. She didn't say no. She didn't say, all she had to say was no. She just didn't say it. She just said, okay, let's do that. Are you kidding me? No. You gotta get with somebody who's real to help you, not just to make money from you. So I went to another lady who's, she was brutally honest on all her social media. She's like, using swear words, and she's all over the place, and she's like, this is what you got to do. So I'm like, okay, let me schedule a one-on-one with her. And I did. And it turned into a ridiculously long therapy session for me, but she didn't help me with what I wanted. And all I wanted to do was say, how do I turn my pain into purpose? How do I build a brand for myself that helps other women who have been who are where I have been? That's all I wanted. I did start with a course. I started with a membership. I started with a 12-week program. I started with a 12-week course. I did it all. That is not what you are going to do. You are not doing that. And it's okay. So, all right, Missy, then where do I start? Start with a thing, a one. And nobody would ever sit there and tell me that. Why wouldn't you tell me that? One thing, one offer, one person, one outcome. That's it. It's so freaking simple. So simple. But you have all this clutter in the universe right now saying, start with a course and create a community, and from crying cubicle to exit strategy and revenue cycle in 12 weeks. That was me. That's what I did. Do you see where it got me? It got me here, honestly. I'm very, very thankful I'm here. You start with a point of conversation. You help one person solve one very specific problem. That's it. It is that simple, but that hard all at the same time. Think about whittling it down to one, the power of one. You help one person, you solve one problem, one offer, one person, one outcome. Why did I have to get through all of that to get to the power of one? It's the journey. So remember what we just walked through. You're going to identify, and that's just such a big one because it's identity wrapped. It's wrapped around identity. So in order to identify, you have to get real with yourself. You have to get real with your lived experiences. And it can be so simple, but you're so complex, and you're complex, not in a bad way, not in a negative way. Your complexities are beautiful. You're complex because of the messes you've been through. So you're going to identify 3 things you know deeply because you lived them. Start there. 3 things, right? Because ultimately you're going to turn it into the power of one. I just gave you this whole workflow and framework to work through it yourself. Then you're going to seek the person that you're selling to. One person. If you had to pick one buyer out of a million people, who is she? Find her. She's out there. And the third thing is you're going to package it up. The power of one thing. And I can tell you, you can do this through one digital product, one digital download, one thing that you can turn into money. So my offer is the Messy to Momentum session. I've created 90 minutes of a one-on-one where you and I get very clear on where you are, where you want to go, and what your next move looks like. I am not talking fluff here, because what we're going to do is really get to your one. And then I'm going to tell you how to build it. So I built that offer in 1 month while rebuilding my own life. My offer. I built it in 1 month while rebuilding my own life. And I repeat that because it's important that you hear that. I could not have done this 2 to 3 years ago. I had to go through this excruciating pain to get here. And then I'm going to help you with the pricing. Your pricing, not mine. Your pricing. Price matters a lot. And it matters a lot more than we think, because it's all very psychological to your buyer. What can your buyer afford? And the value that they're going to get in return for their purchase. And it's not just a purchase, it's an investment, because you're solving their problem. And how you create your price, you need a starting price point that converts somebody from an interest level to an I gotta have this, right? So this is step 3. We're talking about in your package, what you're packaging up, what you're selling, your one thing that you're selling, one offer, one person, one outcome, because you are selling an outcome. If you buy this, then you can do this. What does that look like? If you buy this ebook on starting sourdough, then you'll have a sourdough starter in 30 days. That's your one offer to one person who wants to start sourdough. And the one outcome is she'll have a sourdough starter in 30 days. You price that based on what makes the most sense for your time and your effort. And this is where people, I think a lot of people get pricing wrong. Pricing is very important. You're converting somebody that of an interest level to an action, to an investment, to an outcome. What are they willing to invest in themselves? What are they willing to invest in your one thing to get the outcome that they desire? An online ebook for how to add the right levels of protein into your diet to have more energy, more muscle converted, fat loss converted to muscle in 60 days. You're taking somebody who doesn't understand protein, who wants to feel better, show up with more energy, lose weight, convert fat to muscle. You're taking that woman from this to this with that one offer for her and that one outcome. And then you price it accordingly. But like I said, in the price, it's not so clear cut because you can't price yourself outside of your market. There's a lot of competition. You can't price yourself. You could price yourself too low. It's not going to hurt anything. You have to price yourself accordingly to your time, your effort, and the woman that's willing to invest. All right. Let's go. This is taking me. This is a great conversation, but what I want to teach and walk you through here today is I've gone a little bit outside of, I don't know. I hope it's not too long. I hope you're still engaged. Here's the thing that's going to get you, and it got me big time because of the chaos that we were living through, the messiness, and then the lack of confidence, is that starting and stopping, I lost a lot of momentum. Start, stop, start, stop. And you're not going to have followers. You're not going to gain traction because you're not reliable. You're not consistent. Think about anything in your life. If you're not consistent, people can't depend on you. They can't trust you. They can't look to you consistently. So here's what you don't need to get started again or to start for the first time. Here's what you don't need. You don't need a big audience because you're gonna think that you do. We all go there. We all think we need more followers, more likes, more. If you take a picture of a stadium or you take a picture of a gathering at a parade, a local event, okay, take a picture, a snapshot of how many people attended the local parade, how many people attended the football game, whatever your kind of like your go-to outdoor event is, the amphitheater concert, right? Take a picture of that stadium in your head and think about how many people it holds. Thousands of people go to this community event. Okay. We're not even talking about hundreds of thousands. We're just talking about thousands, right? If you take that snapshot in your head, how many of those people do you think you need following you? The myth is that you need thousands of followers before you can sell anything, before you can, be viral, go viral, make money online. No. Again, we're going back to this, the power of one. One is powerful. The truth is you only need one person to say yes. One. Because once you get the one, then there's that power of momentum and the snowball effect, and then you will get another and another and another. Your first 5 customers are not going to come from an algorithm. They're going to come from conversations. This is real life. This is not a social media slideshow. This is not a splash, right? This is real life. You're going to be representing your hard work of what you're selling with purpose and passion. And you're going to make new friends, if you will, that woman that you're trying to help. So you're going to talk to her. You're going to comment. You're going to get referrals. You're going to have somebody who's been creeping behind the scenes watching you show up consistently. And finally, that person's going to be like, all right, I need that. I need that one thing she's selling right now. So for me, I'm building in public right now. This is it. This is real. This is raw. This is me building. Because I've started and stopped and started and stopped and restarted. I just talked to you. I just told you what I've been through. No consistency, a mess, paralyzed, barely in survival mode. I don't have a big audience. I am showing up every day regardless, because I've told myself, finally, I said, we're not starting and stopping. We're not restarting. We're not starting over. We're not rebuilding. We're not doing any more of that. We've done that. Me, and then we is the conversation I have with me. We are building. We are keeping going. Honestly, put my hand on my Bible. Honest to God, my conversations with me every day, my board meeting, my business meeting is Messy Missy. We are keeping going every day. Because the woman who needs me, you're watching me. You are. You just haven't engaged with me yet. You haven't taken an action. So, my job is to keep showing up until you're ready. My job is to keep showing up for me. Your job is to keep showing up until the person buys your product, buys your service, buys your one thing. That's your job. To keep showing up, to keeping going. Keep going. Consistency is your strategy. Consistency is my strategy. Whoever built a business saying, okay, we're going to have a strategy meeting, and the strategy today for the business is consistency. I don't know. It's the whole point of the messy, messy world is that we're not perfect. We're messy. We're not polished. We're not refined. We're failing forward. We're trying new things. We're taking step backwards and forwards at the same time. Maybe we don't have a huge following. We're just showing up every day with something real to say. That's where I am. So if you have experience and you have a story and you know you were made for more, you know you were made to help someone, to help something, to solve that problem, but you have no idea how to turn it into an actual offer that you can sell, how to make money, honey, how to make money online. This is exactly what we're working on with a messy to momentum session. Exactly. 90 minutes, one-on-one. We work together, me and you. We have to identify what you have, We identify who you're helping. We're identifying what your offer looks like and what your very first step is. God, I wish I had had that. No fluff, no theories, a real plan. So the link is in the description. It's pinned in the comments. If something I said today resonated with you, well, that's your sign. Woo, woo, that's your sign. And before we go, though, drop it in the comments. Drop in the comments one thing you've lived through that you think you could help another woman. I read every single one of those comments, and I'm truly here to help. We're building beautiful businesses and beautiful messes through. We're not building beautiful messes. I'm so sorry. We're building beautiful businesses. We're building beautiful lives through our messes. I will see you here every morning. I'll see you here on the next mess.